Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and at netradio.com, Tijuana. Today, Lietoc and I are joined by a Chicago-based maverick multi-instrumentalist and liner note credit stalwart, Macie Stewart. How you doing, Macie?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Yeah, thanks for joining us. How have things been at the moment? What have you been up to?
Things have been good. Things have been really busy. I've been in Chicago, which is where I live for since the beginning of May. I mean, the beginning of April. Oh my
Mhm.
God. And yeah, it's been great. I've been recording a lot of things at home and working on a lot of projects and trying to cram it all in before I leave again in June.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
I guess right here we have it says recently you flew out to LA for a Feels Like Floating gig with Clary Say
Yes,
and
I
Leah
do.
Cole, and then you went to Big Ears from there. What were your biggest focuses, I guess, like on your solo oriented tour? Like, what have you been up to with that? Like, what have you been focusing on?
Yeah, we so that was my first West Coast headline tour and it was
Hmm.
really fun to play floating. Floating was like the first gig that we played on the
Oh,
tour.
really? That's sick.
Was that
Yeah,
your first time in LA doing solo stuff? Or
yes, actually.
oh,
I've been with my band Phenome, but I haven't done any like
Hmm.
solo stuff over
okay,
there.
yeah.
And it's nice. I think like with a lot of my solo stuff, I mean, I write songs and I arrange the songs and stuff, but
Hmm.
I mean, improvising is always like such a huge part of what I do as a solo artist
Hmm.
too. So it was fun to like bring me and Leah's duo. We didn't end up playing with Claire because she
Mm.
was
Oh, I
she was
see.
it was a bummer. But
Happens.
me and Leah did our duo set at Floating and it was just totally improvised and it felt like such a nice way to begin a tour.
Hmm.
And also every set that I play with my solo stuff, I begin it with improvising.
Hmm.
So it kind of felt like on a macro level,
Yeah,
like
that's
following
sick.
the same idea. And it was so nice. I mean, we drove all the way up to like Seattle
Oh,
and
it's
then
sick. That's cool.
Boise and then back down to LA. We like stopped at hot springs, took
So sick.
hikes. It
Yeah.
was like we were like, we need to make this like nice and humane because I think touring can be really brutal sometimes.
Yeah.
And my goal is just like I just want it to feel good. I want to play music that feels good. I want to, make touring feel good. But yeah, we did that whole run and then flew to Chicago and then immediately flew to Big Ears. And that was like mind blowing. I had never been before. And that festival is like, I felt like somebody had dug into my brain and we're like, what would Macy want to see?
Yeah.
That was really, yeah, it
M-
was really great.
Maddie flew out for that. I still haven't been able to go to Big Ears, but
I flew out, I got to catch and get the tape and it's lovely. So yeah,
Oh,
so so
nice.
yes. Yeah, no. Great festival. We say that like every show now for the last month.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
it was crazy. I feel like I got back from that and I was like, I don't know how I can fit anything more in my brain.
yeah, right.
Felt like I just saw the greatest sets that I had seen in a really long time. It was
Did
really,
they like so what was from the perspective of you because you were playing a really small you were doing the pilot light, which it's a hole in the wall bar that fits like 50 to 75 people. But you were also playing with Rob Mazurek. Just how was the scheduling there? How did you know like how did Big Ears know to invite you basically, I guess? Or
yeah. Well, actually, I played with Micaiah, not with Rob.
that's right.
I also love Rob. I went to see that show. um, yeah, actually it's funny. I like have wanted to play that festival for a really long time. And I just in my brain, I was like, you know what, this year I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go whether I play or not. I just want to like check it out and see what it's like. And my friend, I also played in the weather station while I was down there.
Oh,
And
that's
Oh,
sick.
nice.
so Tamara like texted me and was like, "Are you going to be at Big Ears?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I'm kind of like I'm hoping that I am.
Hmm.
I'm definitely going to be there just for fun." And she was like, "Well, if you're down there, would you want to play with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And then I looked at the schedule and I was like, "Oh, Micaiah's playing and I play in Micaiah's band. That would be cool if that worked out too." And then my friend Jason, it just like it all came together. I
Yeah.
felt like it was really
Whoa.
special. Yeah, and my friend Jason, who books the Pilot Light, and runs the Pilot Light. And I also just like adore that venue. He texted me and was like, hey, do you want to come down and play? And I was like, yeah.
That's so
Whoa.
sick.
It all kind of worked out because it was like I wanted to go and I wanted to play these 3 nights, and I had to do a little bit of finagling to make sure that I wasn't overlapping things, but it was like one show a day, and then I met up with my friend Shane down there too and ended up playing. It's like
That's cool.
it was just really fun.
You were playing on Sunday as well?
I didn't play Sunday. Sunday I just hung out, but I played Thursday, Friday, and I played 2 sets on Friday and then Saturday.
That's wild. That's busy. That's sick.
That's
It was
incredible.
fun. It's like my preferred way to exist. I just like playing and playing with friends.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what makes the festival so good, is that they would have it opens up for all that collaboration. Because like it was Jake Fussell, he was doing, or Fussell, he was doing just the night after night of bringing in different folks, and his stuff was really good. I got to catch the final night.
That's sick.
And and nobody could get in. It consistently like would hit capacity. Oh,
it's crazy. Yeah, I feel like there were like lines everywhere, and I was like, how does this even work? But yeah, it was fun. That was a really fun time.
That's cool. When you said Micaiah, is that like the drummer? Like
Micaiah McCraven.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
Me and Leah, which you did an interview with Leah, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But me and Leah play in Micaiah's band whenever they have the string quartet. We play it with.
Dude, that's sick. Wow. I feel like that'd be really cool to see. I saw like Micaiah like years ago, but I don't remember who was in his band at the time. Yeah, Micaiah's sick though.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's really good. We were reading on your Substack too, kind of like what you're saying. Yeah, sorry. I was reading it, but
I was skimming.
But yeah, kind of like what you were saying before, like how you try to, I guess, balance like touring and stuff and like make it more like fun and incorporate it as part of like your life. Do you want to like elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've been touring since I was 17 years old, in various different projects and at various levels. And I think before the pandemic, like I was going really, really hard with my band. We were called Ohm. We are now called Phenome. But we were going really hard, like touring every month, just like playing every night. Like,
yeah, that's wild.
Wow.
And then if we weren't playing, it was like, all right, we're recording. And and I like before everything kind of shut down, I definitely was feeling some burnout, and I was looking down, down the road a bit and being like, oh my God, I have like 5 months of solid touring still to go.
Yeah.
And then like everything kind of like shut down, and I was like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I realized I had never been an adult while not touring. Like I was like a child going to school, and then I was like just touring all the time. So it was a big change, but it kind of taught me that I am like still a human being outside of touring and playing music. And I mean, and music is just like such a deep part of myself, but touring also is a deep part of myself, but I was treating it more as like this other version of my life. Whereas like now I think I have the foresight to be like, okay, if I'm going on tour, I'm still me, I'm still this body, and I'm still this person inside this body. Yeah. And I need to make sure that I'm taking care of that constantly. And the things that ground me at home, I need to find things that ground me on tour, and like not just burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
Being on the road, like hanging out, waking up early, driving like 8 hours, and then being like, woo, we're going to play a show every night, and like not wear earplugs and like, all of that stuff. And yeah, I guess, taking hikes, like the tour that we just did on the West Coast. It was like, we went to hot springs and we took hikes, and we made sure we like asked each other how we were feeling. And like, like calling my mom every day and like that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's cool that you have that balance. I feel like so
I
many
don't
people
know if
just
I
get like
do,
burnt out, you know?
but thank
Yeah.
you.
Hey, but you're
Fine.
fighting the good fight in
Yeah.
2023 for
Yeah.
a new kind of touring. We'll take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, I don't know. I feel like it's so easy to
Especially
get like caught.
especially for like for West Coast because California's California's massive. So you had to did you take like the 5 or did you do the 1
Oh
or the
yeah, did you take the
102
one? Like that's yeah, which
or
way did you
I
go?
don't think we took the one, and it's sad because it's like when you're on tour, taking the one, I might be wrong because I'm bad with directions.
that's
But I think taking the one like takes you like kind of out of the way
yeah.
from it. So it's like, do you want to add an extra hour and a half, 2 hours to your drive? Which sometimes, yes,
Yeah.
sometimes it's worth it. But on this tour, we didn't end up, I think we took the 5. But yeah, that drive from San Francisco to Portland is so much longer than you think it
Yeah, I
is.
Oh,
could imagine.
Every time I look at it on a map, I'm like, oh, that's not bad. And then you like see how many hours it actually is, and it's all like mountains, and you're like,
Mhm.
okay, I should take some.
yikes.
My
Yeah.
girlfriend we're planning on like trying to do that. We were planning on trying to do that in like the winter. I don't know why
Yeah.
we were thinking of doing it in the winter. We thought it'd be sick, but then like, just thinking about like snow and then like
Yeah.
how long of the drives would be and we'd probably hit all these delays and stuff, so we decided to postpone that drive up to the Pacific Northwest to like
It was so
an
beautiful
easier
in
time.
March, though. It
Yeah,
was pretty cool. That was
that's
like,
sick.
we toured in a Prius also, which was really,
Incredible.
Yeah, dude, that's cool.
Oh.
See, that's like you need a Prius. Um,
yeah.
yeah, we wanted to take like my um SUV so we could like go like car camping and stuff, but I was like, honestly, it's not like that is so much money on gas. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
uh,
It does get like
yeah,
kind of
that's another
pricey.
thing. But my girlfriend has a Prius, so we'll end
Gotta
up
take
taking
the
yeah,
Prius. Take
exactly.
the
So we'll end up taking that thing.
Prius.
But I guess Maddie, do you want to take us into like our next topic over here?
All right, we should get out of our beginners round. Let's get into the intermediary here.
Oh,
Oh
whoa.
no.
Very offensive.
All right, so Macy, you've been around, or you've been around music styles like classical and then assuming jazz, since you've been like in preschool, pre-K, and you've either kind of been creating, performing, rehearsing, if not around all just music for most of your life there, with records, a lot of releases from the stuff that you've done with Whitney to a bunch of other, free jazz releases. We were just talking about Micaiah and Rob, and then even work on contemporary pop albums, which is amazing. Can you provide us though, really, I think, with the biggest image of when you entered making music from a do-it-yourself perspective?
Ooh,
All of
that's a
that
good
in mind.
question. I think it's interesting. I think that like I started writing my own songs and like recording myself when I was like 12. I think my dad like got me a little chintzy like garage band setup, and
Yeah.
my dad's really into just like electronics and computers and technology. He is really into synthesizers, but that's not what he does primarily. But so he just was like, oh cool, my kid wants to, my kid plays music, let's get recording equipment. And my mom is also a musician, so it just kind of made sense to have some stuff around the house. And I like was recording and writing music. I like wrote a piece for my orchestra when I was like 9, which I, looking back, is an incredibly funny thing for a 9-year-old to do. But it was like, yeah, I think that was like my first experience kind of trying to do it myself and being like, yeah, I'm going to write music. I was like, yeah, I'm going to write music. I'm going to record music. I like made little videos for my friends. And then I got into a band when I was in my sophomore year of high school, and it was still like pretty DIY, but really quickly that band kind of ended up like doing really well.
Oh, that's
I
wild.
don't know how it happened. I don't know what happened, but well, I guess I do. It's like one of the members of our band was already like kind of established, and
Mhm.
so we ended up like touring a lot, and we ended up getting like a team immediately and then
That's
almost
crazy.
signing like a major label deal. And I like kind of forgot about
Wow.
doing things myself.
Yeah.
But then, and that band was really fun and I learned a lot too, but it was also, I mean, I learned a lot about what is out there and what I want to do and don't want to do.
What was the band called?
It was called Kids These Days.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
We're not Kids These Days fans. We never heard. But I saw a bit of that story and was like, whoa. Wild.
But yeah, it was so that band ended. We broke up because we were like, dang, there's 8 of us and we're all 19 and we want to make other music, so we got out of our major label deal, which was really, I'm very grateful for everyone who was looking out and not making us commit to that.
Whoa.
And then kind of after that, that's kind of how I ended up. I was in Chicago for a year, just working, teaching and stuff, and Constellation, which is this really amazing venue in Chicago. That's home to a lot of free jazz and experimental music and new classical music. It opened right before I turned 21. So I just started going there every day. And I think that's when I was awoken to kind of what all is out there, and started realizing oh yeah, okay, I can just do it. I can just do it on my own and figure out how to record things on my own. And and I was in a band after that band. I was in a band called Marrow with my friend Liam, who's actually Seema's brother. So I've been playing with the Cunningham family since I was 16, because he was also in that band too.
Wow. Oh, that's wild.
But yeah, so we started touring as Marrow and trying to figure it out, and then Phenome started because Seema moved back from college, and it kind of went from there. So I started off kind of figuring out how to do all these things myself, and then went into this whole other universe for 3 years, and then kind of came back. I pretend that that's my college.
Yeah, right.
That's a pretty good college. That makes a lot of sense. It matches up.
Yeah.
The same time span.
Did you walk? Did you feel like you had a walk ceremony, or did you get a diploma of sorts, you feel?
Well, I don't think I really graduated, but I think that's okay. I got the experience that I needed without the medal, without the diploma to hang on my wall.
Yeah.
So you brought up Constellation. I know you just did a set there to celebrate the 10th anniversary, if I recall. Yes. Can you talk a little bit about that, and just also your relationship with that venue possibly over the last 10 years, a little more in depth?
Yeah. Well, I mean, picking up from where I just left that story, Constellation. So that was the first bar that I was going to when I was 21.
Oh, hell yeah.
And the Hungry Brain too, which is right around the corner, even before him. Edit that out. I'm I don't want to get them in trouble.
Yeah, right.
But I would just go and see music all the time, and I ended up moving into an apartment that was literally a block away, and my roommate bartended there too, and Seema helped open Constellation as well. So all my friends were hanging out there and were really involved in it, and I was just going night after night, so much so that people were like, "Do you work here?" And I was like, "No."
That's so funny.
But I just go to all of the holiday parties. But so I went there all the time and was exposed to all this music that I had no idea existed beforehand. And I was totally fascinated by it, and I remember specifically, I saw a performance of Mark Ribot with Ceramic Dog at Constellation.
That's
and
sick.
he's an incredible guitar player. And I remember being oh shit, I want to play guitar like that. I want to play guitar, because I hadn't really been playing guitar. I played piano and violin. And Seema was also dang, I also want to play a guitar like that. And so we decided to start Phenome specifically because we had been hanging around this venue, and that show was kind of a pivot point for us.
Oh,
and then after that, how I started improvising in front of people, because I'd always done that by myself or in the privacy of my own home. But there was this series called 3 on 3 at Constellation that was really cool, where they'd like just pair 3 people who had never played together before,
Oh, that's
and like
sick. Yeah.
you do a set, and if it like was good, you could keep going, and if it wasn't, you could be like, I'm gonna leave. Like, I'm done. And Simo was supposed to play it, but then she ended up getting asked to go on a really cool tour, like last minute.
Yeah.
And I lived a block away, and they were like, Simo was like, Macie, you should do the gig. And I was like, okay, cool. Can I bring my violin actually? Because I was like, I don't know if I want to like improvise on piano or with voice. And I ended up improvising with voice and violin and it was with my friends Steve Marquette and Charlie Kitchen. And we ended up having the best time ever. And we've made 3 records.
Yeah.
Wow.
From that. But like, yeah, that was like my first time improvising in front of people and being like, oh my God, I love this. I have to do it more. And then I just ended up doing it more because I live so close to Constellation, and I kind of broke the seal that felt like I wasn't invited to do it, or like that I was nervous to do it. And honestly, it was a really open environment, and it was a really cool series to be a part of. And like seeing people, like I would see people like Tamika Reed play there, like Katie, oh my God, I'm blanking on her last name, but she plays the bassoon and is so sick and now teaches. But like seeing those 2 play specifically, I was like, damn, like I want to do that. And yeah, I have a very soft spot for Constellation because they were really supportive of me in like my tiny baby adult life, and are still supportive of me now, like kind of getting into trying to maintain my career and just like keep playing and making things. And I don't know, they're always really open to stuff. There's a lot of good stuff in Chicago, honestly. It's
absolutely.
Yeah, Chicago's crazy. Me and Maddie always say we've had so many people from Chicago on the show.
This is a Chicago tourism show, actually.
Right.
Well, good.
We're good. Yeah. We're pretty happy about it. In fact, hey, big ups to Riot Fest today. The Riot Fest schedule has dropped as we're recording this, and I think it's a very good one.
Oh, really? I need to check it out.
Yeah, you can see The Cure and Godspeed You Black Emperor.
Oh, that's sick, actually.
Sick. Yeah. That's really sick.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask about Constellation, though, I don't have the tapes that you've done with Leah Cole, but I know you guys have collaborated. I mean, that's like the like crux of like the Macie Stewart collaboration universe are some of those tapes. Are those recorded at Constellation, or are they recorded somewhere else?
No, one was recorded. Maybe one was recorded at Constellation. I think. No, I know where. Okay, one was recorded at ESS because we did one of the series there that was like also ESS. Shout out to them as well. Classic, incredible people. But yeah, we recorded one there because I think we did maybe it was an option series, but maybe it was something else. But they like record the performance, and we ended up being like, oh, that actually was like pretty cool. It was like our second gig that we played together. So we ended up releasing that on Astral Spirits, but there wasn't a tape version of it. It just was digital. And then we were like, I mean, Leah's one of my closest friends, and I love her so much, and just everything she does is inspiring to me. But she and I were like, okay, let's make another record. And that ended up being Recipe for a Boiled Egg, which was recorded at this place called Comfort Station. Because we wanted to record somewhere where like you could hear like the environment around in the recording. And like our 2 pillars for that were like, we want to hear the environment around us, and then we also want to like record pop songs, like improvised pop songs. So everything was like under 4 minutes.
Some are really short on that one. It's been a while since I visited. I remember in 2020 looking and being like, this is wild for Astral Spirit standards even. It was right at the fringe of what they were doing before they kind of like They don't do a lot of tapes as much anymore, but I loved it. I was always sad I missed it.
Oh, thanks. I know. I'm like, I need to make sure that I kept a copy. I'm afraid I like got rid of all of them.
Oh no.
It's okay. So
But
people have them out there.
Yeah.
in regards though to like doing improvising pop songs, there what are kind of certain tricks or techniques, stuff that you like really try to emphasize in that mode instrumentally?
Well, I guess like by improvising pop songs, we're more just like, the everyone's like the rule for pop music is 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which is like fucking
Yeah.
fake, but like, people say
Yeah.
that. And so we were like, okay, let's make like short ones because everyone's always improvising 40 minutes long or like somewhere around there, which is also really awesome. But like you rarely hear really short improvisations that are like consciously short, So we were trying to do that. That was our only technique, was just being like, let's make it short. One of them I had the electric slide stuck in my head for like a week. And so we were like, what if we interpret the electric slide? And that ended up being really fun. It was just like a record where we wanted to have fun, and it was fun. And I remember we ate ice cream afterwards.
That's sick.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So are you involved with like Elastic Arts? Is that the same as ESS or is that like different?
It's different.
Oh,
It's
okay.
different. Elastic is also amazing.
Yeah.
ESS
Wow.
is in Ravenswood, and they have a recording studio and a gallery space, and also like present a lot of things around the city too. They're and have amazing archives. Like they have like Sun Ra archives.
Oh, that's wild.
Oh.
This other person, I'm blanking on some of the names, but they just have they're wonderful, wonderful people. And then Elastic also is really amazing. It was just I think it was their 20th. And they had a fundraiser last weekend, which me and bringing up Leah again, but we bartended. It was really
that's
fun.
sick.
Nice.
But yeah, Elastic is great. Elastic is in, I guess, like Logan Square, Avondale area.
That's cool.
And it's kind of like a black box vibe. It's just like a big open space. And they also have free space in there too.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that place is really wonderful and also super supportive. I mean, that's why I love Chicago, is that it feels like everyone's just rooting for each other. And there's also like so much interesting stuff happening because there's not really industry here, like music industry here. There is some, but not in the same way that like there is in LA or like Nashville or New York. And rent is relatively affordable. I think people have like, there is a structure here for people to make really interesting music and still survive. And it feels special. And it's a big city too, that there's like a lot of different things happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's so sick. Maddie, which area should we go into next?
Oh boy. Just to stick around in this area for a little bit, one question I want to have, because you do have, again, all these other projects where you're either coming in as a contributor studio-wise, or you're coming in as a collaborator from an improv perspective, or just musicianship. And I'm curious about the skill sets that you've been keen to explore, particularly if there are any limitations that you decide to employ when you're working in something.
Totally. I do like to create a parameter for myself with whatever project I'm making. I mean, sometimes I like just throw that out the window, but I do like doing that because I think in the past, in some of the things that I've made, like for myself, I haven't done that necessarily. And it's felt messy or felt like uninteresting because I was like not focused with what I was doing. And like, yeah, like the record that I was just talking about, like those were the parameters for the record. And then like together we were like, okay, we're just going to do like our instrument and our voice. And that's like what we have going on. And I feel like that with most records that I make now, or I'm like trying to do that with most records I make now. Like if I'm, like my solo record, I was like, I want this to pretty much be what I can play and what I can arrange on my own, and don't want to include anything that I can't like really put my hands on. And then at the end, I was like, okay, I know I hear some horns, which I can't do. And I also wanted to have friends on the record. So I was like, I can't be by myself. Yeah. So I definitely try to do that. And when I'm collaborating with other people too, I often ask like, okay, what are you looking for? You know, like sometimes people just want string arrangements, or sometimes people just want me to play the violin on an arrangement that they wrote. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that too. I like that. And I think that, it's always been like whenever I collaborate with people too, it's like, I'm really interested in what they're making and kind of like getting inside of that and figuring out what that headspace or like creative space is like, because I feel like it keeps my mind open, you know, like making something with like working with Micaiah versus working with like Ken versus working with like, you know, doing the Whitney stuff or doing stuff for like Lala or
whoa,
you know, like there's like a lot, they're all different, but I feel like I need it all because it just keeps me open, and it makes it so that I don't get myself stuck in patterns, because I think that I can definitely, I have a tendency to, or I don't know if I have a tendency to it, but like it feels comfortable to go to the same place every time. And sometimes that's good, but sometimes I don't want that. But I think what I'm focusing on right now is like orchestration. I want to get better at, I want to go beyond just doing like string arrangements and kind of get into something larger than that. Seema and I did a project with the Pacific Northwest Ballet.
Oh, wow.
Last
That's
year.
wild.
It was really fun. And we wrote a piece for orchestra, and
that's sick.
It was really cool. And we got to sing with the orchestra while they played our piece. And that was like, I was like, oh my God, I want to do this again.
Yeah.
It like killed me, but it was like the good kind where I was like, okay, I'm exhausted, but I want to do that. I want to do that again. So I think that's an area I'm trying to focus in. And also just like the intersection of improvising and composition on a really large scale, and like figuring out how to make those two things coexist in a way that doesn't feel forced and is natural. Feels natural.
Did you kind of do that like with the ballet that you like orchestrated? Was there like improvisation in that too?
There was, and I feel like we learned a lot through like how we were notating things too, because I'm interested in notating things like beyond just kind of like Western notation.
Oh, that's sick. So like, what do you mean?
Writing. Seema wrote a poem that was an amazing poem, and we put that in the score so that people could reference that. And then we had like for the middle movement was the one that had a lot of improvisation. And I think like there are things that we could have done better, I think, with like translating what our idea was. But it was mostly, it was kind of like that. And we were telling them like, okay, we want you to improvise with this feeling.
Yeah.
This is happening in the dance. Like, let's look at, so I think, I don't have any answers for that yet, but that was kind of like our first attempt at getting people that we don't really know to play music and try to like improvise within it. And it was cool. It was
that sounds crazy. And that's the first time you've ever done something like that before?
Yeah.
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. We were like, all right, we're jumping in, we're doing the full 50 piece.
Yeah.
We could have just like chose to do like string quartet, but we were like, no.
Yeah.
Actually, wow, on a massive scale like that. And again, it was not 12. This was not 12-tone music you were doing. exactly. Yeah. Wow.
Some of it. I mean, like a lot of it was. It
Mhm.
was like we like arranged. We arranged one of our old songs for orchestra to play,
Okay.
and then we arranged one of our new songs for orchestra to play, and then we had this piece in the middle that was like a connecting the two, and that was supposed to feel a little more like nebulous because the idea was like, it was like the first movement was like being a baby, and the second movement was like being a teenager, and the third movement was like
That's sick.
being, yeah, it was cool. It was really fun.
That rules.
Where can people like? Can you find that anywhere? Like, is that like online at all?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know it's kind of sad because they have it. The way that it worked out is I think that it's like they can choose to bring it back if they want to.
Yeah.
So have the rights to the music and the like the video of it. So it's
Oh,
not
I
up
see.
anymore. Yeah.
Well, if it ever goes up, I don't know, or if it ever like is performed again or something, hopefully we can like catch it somehow.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Put up the bat signal. We'll be there.
Yeah, right. Maddie, what topic should we go into next?
I did want to ask a couple of things about Phenome with regards to a couple of the albums, because I remember when the 2020 album came out, it's one of the last things I would have got as music director for KCSB, just promotionally. And the big thing that was exciting about it is that it was produced by Chris Cohen, and it was like, oh my god, I love this little like zany guy on captured tracks that nobody knows. And then, like, captured tracks was like, he's a musician's musician, so they were just already having no clue how to sell him. But
That's so funny.
They always, I feel like people always do that. They're like, oh yeah, it's a musician's musician.
Yeah.
It's just like good.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing was that I would always tell people, like, Chris has a really good CV. Just like read the credits. It's weird, like how many things he's been tied to. But I did want to know if there was a big contrast between that recording and of the 2018 album that, if I'm getting right, Doug McCombs helped in some capacity recording.
You were right. Yeah. That was really fun. Yeah, that record was called, the 2018 record was called Parts. And we recorded it at Seema's studio. She has a home studio that is very nice in her like family compound, which is really cool. So we got to record there, and Doug came and sat in on some sessions because we were like, okay, this is our first full-length record. We want to have someone, because of the nature, like, because it's a two-headed beast, so it's nice sometimes to have like a third party there with us while we're like trying to make decisions. And yeah, so Doug helped us out a lot with that one. I love Doug. He's like such a sweet human being and such a great musician. Yeah, so we did that like in the comfort of Seema's studio and like a place that we know really well. And then with Fantasize Your Ghost, we were touring so much in 2019, and we had like a 2-week span where we could like make this record, and we're like, oh my god, like, okay, we're doing it. And we really love the Wise Blood record that Chris Cohen produced, and also like Deerhoof is one of my favorite bands, and Chris played in Deerhoof, and I love Chris's solo music too. So we were just like really excited about the prospect of working with him, and we just sent him an email. Seema sent him an email. She's very good at reaching out to people. She was like, yeah, would you be into this? And he was. And so we got home from tour. He flew into O'Hare. We went up, we recorded it at this really beautiful place in Albany, near Albany, Wisconsin, called the Post Farm. That has like a great barn, and Seema throws a festival there almost every year.
Oh, that's sick.
So we like set up a remote recording studio in the barn. Seema and her partner, now husband, went up to the Post Farm, and they like started setting up the equipment. I went and I picked up Chris from the airport, and then we like met with all the gear, and then we like set up a studio in a day, and then we recorded for a week, and then we like tore it down and went back home, finished overdubs, and then we were like, all right, we're done. We're going back on tour.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy. It really was crazy. And also like the 2 days before that, I had like, or maybe it was like the 2 days after that, I started recording my solo record, which was like insane looking back. And I left those alone until like mid to late 2020 because I was like, I don't have time for that. But
that's just a wild peak to kind of, I don't know if the touring really like spurns that all, but it is amazing that in between all of that span, you could just take 2 weeks and like crank out a really good set of tunes.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I'm so proud of that record. We're both really proud of that record. And it, you know, it was like kind of a bummer to like not be able to tour it really and not be able to like celebrate it fully.
It's a bummer.
Really big, we had really big dreams for it, but also like such is life sometimes.
Happens.
Going, and I'm still really proud of it, and we still get to play it when we play shows, you know. So so anyway, so that was the difference between those two records.
That's sick.
And kind of building off of that with Mouthful of Glass, so you started those tunes in 2019, but to finish them, it did involve a bit of home studio making, if I recall from stuff I had read. Could you talk a little bit about the home studio or stuff that you're kind of set up and where you've gone from there?
Yeah, I had never had my own home studio set up. It was just like not something that I really had time for because I was like touring, or if I was recording, I would like go where other people were recording, like work for hire stuff and doing string arrangements on the spot there, or just stuff like that. So I just like never really had a reason to have my own setup. And and then everything shut down and I was in my house. And I was like, I need to get something happening, because we started doing like streaming things and you know, I needed a way to like record and have things sound halfway decent. Like a couple months in, I was like, all right, this is like this is like what I'm doing. Like I should. And so I talked to my dad, and my dad was like, oh, you should get this like tiny Motu audio interface, which I still use now.
Sick.
And he bought me it, and it was really sweet. I ended up like, I already had like a couple microphones, and I just started like investing in that. Like I had a lot of gear that I had collected over the years, but never really like used a lot of keyboards. So I just like set it up in my room and started recording. And then at the end of the year, my roommate ended up moving out and I started living alone. But for like 2 months, I had this situation where I ended up moving to the basement of my building and like a garden apartment, but it was under construction for a while. So for 2 months, I was the only person in my building because everyone had moved out except for me.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It was just wild. Like really by myself because it was like winter 2020.
That's
no
crazy.
one lived in the building. My roommates were gone. It was like me and my 2 cats. And I was like, well, I'm just going to make a bunch of stuff because that's like what's going to feel okay. And I set up my recording studio in Juliana's old room after she moved out. And just like finished recording it then. Yeah. And then once I was like, I can't listen to, like, I can't work on these anymore.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't feel like I have any more to contribute by myself. I sent them out to some friends, like to Sen and Ben.
Oh, nice.
And my friend Ayana made some really incredible saxophone parts that my friend Dustin played. So I was like, I just wanted to send it to people that I really admire. And then, that was kind of the process of that, but it definitely, I got into it at a very isolated time.
Yeah.
That's one of the most incredible recording session or stories I've heard. You don't like, no one's getting all of their apartment mates just randomly moving out.
It was crazy.
Yeah, insane.
It was crazy. It was funny. I was like, before they moved out, before she moved out, Juliana and Anna, I like picked up I was trying to learn how to tune pianos, and I was like, this is like the worst habit or like the worst hobby to have. with roommates, trying to learn to tune a
Yeah,
piano.
right.
My joke is that I made them leave because it was pianos. But yeah, I don't know. It was incredible. I mean, I got to spend like 8 hours, 6 hours, like recording
Mhm.
an ego solo on the record, which I wouldn't have been able to do literally anywhere else
Yeah.
because no one wants to listen to that for that long, and it's loud. And
Yeah.
I felt pretty grateful for that.
That's
Wow.
sick. So do you have anything like new in the works? Like anything you're working on right now?
Yeah, we are nearly finished with a new phenome record.
Oh, sick.
So figuring that out and trying to put our old EP back up on the internet because we had such issues with our name. We had to take it down.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
wanted to ask about that too. Weren't you mentioned you're called like Ohm before? Like why did you guys change? And
we
I
got
think
a
I
cease
saw
and
on
desist.
Oh really? That's wild.
Yeah, so we were fighting that a lot of last year.
Oh, that's
Wow.
insane.
Yeah, it was not very fun, but it's yeah, the name has changed now, which it feels
That's cool.
a lot better. Or I guess not last year, 2 years ago we were fighting that. But yeah, so we have a record that's almost finished and
Mhm.
then get our EP back up and been working on a lot of stuff just around that and getting ready to we want to like be back out on the road in 2024.
Mhm.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, and just kind of get
That'd be
back into
sick.
that. Yeah, it would be really fun. And then I'm working on this amazing piece that my friend Robin choreographed and is like directing. She's the person that choreographed the ballet that we did
Mhm.
Seattle last year. And so me and her are collaborating on this piece. I'm just doing music and sound, but it's set in her grandmother's house.
Mhm.
It's kind of about her family and her family's lineage. She's Japanese American and
Mhm.
kind of just like she's conducted all these interviews with her family over the last few years that are just it's just amazing to hear the stories of her grandmother because her grandmother lived in internment camps.
Oh wow.
Mm.
She was really young and all the way through high school.
Uh-huh.
And then like, as happens with families, like sometimes you just don't talk about the stories.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I'm working on a piece with her
That's really
that I'm really
cool.
excited about and doing all the music for, and it's on site. It's like taking place in her house, in her
Mhm.
grandmother's house. Um, and there's like no furniture in it anymore because she
Interesting.
had to move out.
Oh, I see.
Um, so that's something I'm excited about and working on. And then I'm going on tour in June. Yeah, there's always a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is this the Europe
Yeah,
tour?
is this the Europe one?
Yeah, this is the Europe one. I'm opening for Kevin Morby and then playing in his band as
Oh,
well.
Oh, dude,
wow.
that's sick.
Oh wait, doesn't M. Geddes' or M. Ged Gangris's brother also play in Morby's band?
I don't know.
I feel like he might have told us that actually. Yeah.
I feel like one of the
That's
brother
a
Gangris play in that band. They're
that's a
great.
wild connection, yeah.
But and then also Phenom is gonna be on tour with the new Pornographers.
Yes.
Mathian, wow.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, they were and are one of my favorite bands.
Mhm.
My old band with Seema's brother, we used to cover that song 3 or 4 off of Twin Cinema.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
My dad was he loves Nico Case, and then he loves a few of those early new Pornographers, but never got into Dan Bearhart. Never went in that direction or AC Newman. It was just
Yeah,
Nico
Nico
Case.
rocks. Yeah. Yeah. Carl's awesome too. I got to hang with Carl a little bit a few months ago and it was really fun. But yeah, I'm really excited about that tour. It's going to be a good time.
That's sick.
Yeah.
What city are you looking forward to playing most in Europe? Have you been there before to Europe? Have you like toured there?
I have toured in
That's
Europe
sick.
before. I am really excited to go to Ljubljana, Slovenia. I've never been
Oh,
there.
that sounds
Whoa.
sick.
Heard it's a really cool place.
Yeah,
So I'm stoked
that's
about
awesome.
that. And yeah, I'm just like really excited to do a full 5-week European tour. I mean, I'm really nervous too because it's a while, like it's
Mhm.
a long time, but I think it just seems really fun. And yeah, I'll be with friends. So I'm just looking forward to the whole thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, I think that's really cool. I went to Europe last summer, but I only visited like 2 cities. So like I really want to go back and like explore more. And it'd be sick to have like an excuse like music or something to just like go out there, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, well, we have a couple like miscellaneous like listener questions here. If you're like ready for those.
Yeah.
Celeb questions. The
So
tiger beat part of the show.
this one says tapes, vinyl, or CDs. Like, what's your preferred format?
Ooh, I think vinyl. I like tapes, but I don't really have a great way of playing tapes.
Mm.
I like vinyl because I can just hold it in my hand and they're beautiful, and
Oh yeah,
I collect them. And CDs are fine.
CDs are on their way
Just-
back.
But they're
CDs are
also
bad.
like the cheapest way of
Exactly. Yeah.
music, you know. So if you want somebody to buy something of yours, yeah, I definitely just have like a lot of CDs in my own CDs in like
Oh,
a
yeah.
bag on my bed.
Did Orindle do CDs and vinyl and tapes for this, or was it?
They Orindle just did tapes and vinyl, and then Full Time Hobby did CDs and vinyl.
Oh wow,
Oh, sick.
There are CDs in Europe, but
Oh hell yeah. Interesting.
that's why you're going on tour. You're hunting for them.
Okay, so this next one is, do you have a favorite guitar pedal that you use?
ooh, yeah, I do. It's hard. Actually, it's really hard to choose, but the one that immediately came to mind is my like bass pedal that I use, which is the Electro Harmonics multiplier. The font is hard to read,
Yeah.
but it's so sick.
And
That's my
so
favorite.
that's like, do you play bass too, or are you saying it's like, okay, that's sick. Cool.
I play bass, yeah. I run my guitar through a bass amp. For Phenom, I run it through a bass amp and a guitar amp at the same time.
Oh,
And then
interesting.
some songs I play like just straight up bass parts.
Oh, cool.
I use that pedal, and it's got a really weird, distorted, like bit crushy sound.
That's so interesting. So you'll play guitar to make it sound like a bass, is what you're saying? Oh, dude, that's wild.
Yeah. We don't switch instruments. We're just like,
Yeah.
That's the limit of the band.
Yeah.
See? Going back to all
exactly,
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's cool. I have a friend in his band. He plays bass, but he uses 2 amps or maybe 2 cabs or something. I don't know. And he like splits it with like different pedals, like his signal or something. And then so one amp can sound like a guitar, and then one amp sounds like a bass.
Yeah, we love a signal splitter.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just like, yeah, like I remember we had him play in like the station, and he was like, okay, yeah, like we have these 2 amps that we need to mic up. And I was like, oh, I never realized that about your sound, but like that's sick. And he was like, yeah, try to sound like guitar and a bass. And I was like, I didn't even know a bass could do that. But yeah, anyways. Well, that kind of does it for our like listener question section. But I guess where can people keep up with all things Macie Stewart?
I just updated my website.
Sick.
So I think there. I hope there. Yeah, I think like my website and I guess Instagram.
What's the URL for the website?
It's just www.maciestewart.com.
Sick.
Yeah.
There it is, everybody.
Yeah.
You want to listen to some Macie Stewart, check out the website. We do have one more question here. It's kind of the biggest one of the show. Do you want me to take it, Maddie, or do you want?
Promise, you go for it.
Okay.
You drop the train on.
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of the biggest one of the show. It's really wild. So prepare for that. A rat is going to jump into your mouth. Do you want this rat to jump into your mouth head first or butt first, and why?
I think butt first, because I'm scared that it would bite me.
That's a
And I
good,
could
solid
I could
answer.
get down
Yeah.
and like hold it there and then pull it out. That's gross.
Yeah. Maddie likes
Why?
We had to.
Maddie likes to soften the blow and say it's a nice white lab rat and not like a street rat or something. So maybe that's
last week for Wendy Eisenberg, it was a little Sweetwater lab rat.
Yeah.
Whatever the Sweetwater lab.
What was their answer?
Oh yeah, what was their answer? I forgot.
I just met them
I
for the
want-
first time after being
They,
on the internet.
I want to say they went for mouth first. They didn't want to do tail. They weren't
That's what
into
it
the tip
was.
of the
Yeah.
tail.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't. I just like figured it would like curl around.
Yeah, a
In
lot
my
of
perfect world, when a rat jumps in my mouth, the tail would curl around.
that's what I always thought. I never really thought about like the tail like going down my throat until people started saying that on the show, and I was just like, huh, I never thought about that, but like I guess good
It's
point.
just like not what I would imagine.
I
Exactly.
just always forget that tails have a mind of their own.
Exactly,
for
yeah.
the thing going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It happens with my cat. Her tail is always up 90 degrees, like a Frady cat. I
Yeah,
call her Frady cat.
yeah, tails have a mind of their own. But anyways, yeah. Wendy's sick though. That's cool that you met Wendy. They're really cool.
Yeah.
Shout out Wendy. We love their work.
Yeah, Wendy's a legend. Anyways, though, I guess that's all we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. and NetNet Radio every Saturday or every Wednesday, 7 p.m. It's been Macie Stewart. Thanks so much, Macie.
Having me.